Honestly, I did not want to have to show you this. I lost all of my tomato plants and peppers in a matter of just a day or two when I was not checking up on my garden. I was so proud of the progress that I was making in my garden, all the things that I had started, all the things that were doing so well. My cherry tomato plants had just started producing when one Saturday I decided, I'm not going to spend the day in the garden today. Yeah, I need to put the fences up around the beds, but I'm really tired. I think I'm just going to rest today. And of course, that was the day that the groundhogs came in and ate every single one of my tomato plants, brought them down to little nubs this big. And I felt like all of my hard work, all of my progress, everything that I've been working on for the past 5 months was just gone in a single day. They mowed the top off of all of my beans. They ate all my tomato plants. They ate my sunflowers. They ate the peppers. They ate the cucumbers. They ate the last of the brassicas that were there. But today I'm out here after several weeks of wanting to give up on the garden to try and take it back. First order of business, fencing around the beds. First one is done, and now I have my tomato sauce garden to do.
I started this tomato sauce garden with the dream that I would be able to grow enough tomatoes to be able to can tomato sauce for me to use in the winter. I knew that it was probably unrealistic to grow an entire year's worth of tomatoes in my first year gardening in the new house, but I wanted to see how many skills I could build along the way. I had invested so much time and energy into growing these tomato plants. I started them from seed in my basement. I tended to my seedlings for months indoors. Eventually, it was time for me to uppot my seedlings into bigger containers, and I did the dance of indoor, outdoor to harden them off until it was finally time to plant them outside. And I was super proud of all the work that I had done along the way in this process, and really excited to be able to see just how many tomatoes I might be able to get from my garden.
My tomato sauce bed, I'm so excited about. Got basil growing and a few tomato plants. They're all the determinate Roma style tomatoes. And I'm hoping to get some stakes today so I can begin to trellis them up.
When the groundhogs came and started to attack my vegetable garden, I didn't have all the supplies I needed to be able to protect them immediately. I used whatever bit of fencing that I had. I had this plastic fencing that I got from my mom, and I just put that over the hula hoops and wrapped it around bamboo stakes or whatever I could do to protect the beds temporarily. I knew that that wasn't going to be a good long-term solution because I could already see how it could easily be pushed over or pushed out of the way, and animals would still be able to get into my beds. So I was determined to get some metal garden stakes, some T-posts, and I also got some chicken wire mesh, and that was my new plan for how I was going to be able to protect the garden. It did take several weeks before I had both the time and the money to come back out and address the garden fence situation. The reason that the whole garden was not fenced to begin with was really that it was just too expensive. I didn't have enough money to pay for that much fencing, so my temporary solution was for the two beds that had tomatoes in them, I would get 4 T-posts, one for each corner of the bed, and I would get enough chicken wire mesh to go around each of those containers. And then now you can see I'm removing all of the wire mesh. But it is kind of hopeful to see that already, since the tomatoes had been eaten down, you can see I put other little smaller tomato seedlings next to them just in case they didn't rebound. But they seem to be growing back quite vigorously already, just in the couple weeks that it took from when they were initially eaten by the groundhogs until I was able to come back out and build the new fences. As I am wrapping the chicken wire around the fence posts, I'm trying to tuck the bottom of it into the soil and pin it down with landscape staples so that any animals that are trying to get in won't be able to crawl under or beneath the mesh. I know that this isn't a foolproof system by any means, but it was the best that I could come up with in the limited amount of time and energy that I had. I was feeling pretty discouraged about the garden at this point, but I knew that I didn't want to completely give up because I had worked so hard thus far trying to make the garden work.
I'm trying to do this as quickly as I can without cutting myself. This wire. When I first planted this garden, I had dreams that it would be like my sauce garden where I would grow all of my saucing tomatoes, my aromas, maybe some peppers, basil, and that I would be able to, at the end of the season, harvest a bunch of tomatoes and can them into tomato sauce for the year. And this is really like a twofold goal. A, homegrown tomatoes are delicious. I love to eat them. And B, it's building my own self-sufficiency skills. With this current setback in the garden, I am not really hopeful that I'm going to be able to can any tomatoes from my garden. At this point, I just don't think that there's enough time left in the season that even if the tomato plants, the ones that got eaten by the groundhog, were able to rebound, and I'm just not sure if we're going to have enough time until first frost for them to really develop and set fruit. So I am still protecting the bed because it's infrastructure that I'm now kicking myself for not doing in the spring. I thought I could get away with not doing it. I didn't want to spend the money. It seemed like the animals were not really interested in this garden in the first place because they were really just eating like the clover in the lawn and the apples from the apple tree, which I have an abundance of. When they got into this garden, it just made me really sad because this was like the big project of the year that I wanted to accomplish, and now it feels like it's not going to be possible. So I am going to close this up for now and move on to the other things I've got to do today, and hopefully this will be enough protection for now, and we'll see what happens the rest of the season. So at this point, I am pretty well resolved to just buying tomatoes at the farmer's market. I have very low confidence that I'm going to be able to grow more tomatoes before the end of the season. We're already getting to the point, it's beginning of August now, where it is cold at night. So it's about getting down to about the 50s at night, still going up to the 80s during the day, but no longer ideal weather for tomatoes. So I had these seedlings already. I started them at the beginning of the year. So if they produce anything for me, I think that's great. I'll be really happy about it. But I'm not really expecting much at this point. Um, Mostly right now, I'm just trying to think about how to find joy in the garden again. What else can I start? What else can I do that is going to get me excited for the next season? Because even if the summer crop wasn't great, it doesn't mean I can't have a great fall crop. So thinking about cold weather crops that I can plant. I don't really know at what point it's going to be too late to plant things like calendula or marigolds. Putting them in here because I think it would be pretty to have a little bit of flowers in the border of the garden. But even if these guys don't come up till next year, that's fine. I say all that to say the dream isn't over and the goal hasn't totally failed just because your first plan didn't work. You can always change the plan. You can always do something a little bit different. You can always wake up the next day, decide to start over, or take a break for the rest of the year if you so choose. Gardens are cyclical in that way. There's always a new season, and just in life, there's always a new season. There's always a new opportunity. Throwing in some beets. There's really no rhyme or reason for that. I'm just trying to experiment with some fall crops. And I'm interplanting with the tomatoes because I have a very low confidence that the tomatoes will produce. But I have very high confidence that something like spinach will produce. So if all these things end up growing up together, the spinach could act like a really great ground cover and help keep some of the weeds down because this bed is pretty weedy. I didn't make this bed. This one was actually here when I moved in. And at first I was a little leery about using it because I was like, I don't know what's in here. What if they put chemicals? You know. But it's what I've got. And I can always improve the soil. So I'm just throwing all kinds of brassicas in. I put down spinach. I put down Swiss chard. I put in, well, this isn't really brassica, but I'm putting in celery. These seeds are tiny. Okay. I'm gonna put some celery here, maybe. Alright, and now for the task that I probably should have done at the beginning of the year, but we're gonna do it now, which is finding a way to protect all of this goodness.
Life is a winding road, no telling where it goes. Driving through days and nights, won't stop for traffic lights. And I really wanna know if I will ever figure out where the road goes.
I hope that if you're watching this, it inspires you to get back out there and try again at a project that maybe you thought was a lost cause, something that you feel like you failed at, because you can always try again. Just because something didn't work once doesn't mean it never can. And constant working and reworking of the plan is kind of part of the fun of gardening.
Trusting our wings to fly. Sometimes we're crashing down, but we get up and start from the ground. And I really wanna know if I...
Sometimes setbacks are just part of the journey. This year didn't go quite as planned, but each step along the way has helped me to build skills and resilience in the garden. I even picked up some tomatoes from a local farmer's market to add to what I was able to grow, and I'll be sharing a canning video with you in a few weeks to show you what I've been working on. If you're facing your own garden challenges, remember it's all part of the journey and you're not alone. If you'd like to keep hanging out with me in the garden, I do have a sweet potato harvest video and a September garden tour that I can link for you to watch next. Thanks so much for being here, and I'll see you in the next one, friend. Bye.
Even if the sky is falling down,